Hello everyone, good day. Welcome back to Patch Zone. We have Season 5 patch number 4 to cover today, but before I get into that, I want to give a very weird, quick addendum slash note about something that I would like to happen. So, obviously, Season 5 has been out for a little bit now. Almost a week on consoles, not quite, but we've had it for 5 days. Been playing it a lot though. I've had a lot of experience with the overclocks, and I'm starting to realise that I think they're a bit hit and miss, the new overclocks. And I think this will probably be remedied, but I just want to point out, I think some of the responses that have been given to certain questions on the dev streams recently have, to me, indicated that they might be looking into some kind of balance pass specifically for the new overclocks in the near future. I hope that's the case, and if it is, I think it's something that would be really cool to hear about sooner rather than later. And if it's not happening, then I would say I think it's a really good idea. I think the overclocks are all really solid in concept, but a, to me, a disappointing number of them are kind of falling short of being competitive with the already established upper echelon of overclocks for any given weapon. So I think a really focused patch on weapon balancing sometime soon, definitely in between Season 5 and 6, would be something that'd be really cool to hear about. We don't really know what their plans are for Deep Rock between Season 5 and 6, if there are any. And if there are any, there's a good chance we won't hear about them until the next On the Horizons broadcast, which we can only assume is in October, even though it's not guaranteed. I just thought I'd mention that because I think we are just about to hit the point where people, as amazing as Season 5 is, and I think it will carry the game for a very long time, we're about to hit the point where people might want to start hearing something about what might be next. So, if anyone from GoTube is watching, I just thought maybe I would prod your brains a little bit on that, if possible. If this would even work to make you feel any kind of determination to possibly put forward some plans or whatnot. But it's not needed yet. It just might be slightly soon. Not too soon. Within the next 2 or 3 months, I would say we're going to want to start hearing something. That's all I'm saying. But still, today's patch is actually rather nice, and there are some things in here which I would call elements of weapon balancing. So let's just get into it. So this is Season 5, patch number 4. Actually, what is that displaying currently? That's not right at all. You can ignore that for now. What I want is this. There we go. Season 5, patch number 4. Hello, miners. This patch is mainly a bunch of bug fixes and improvements, along with some optimizations to the Corestone event. Hopefully, there are no catastrophic bugs this time. Hopefully. I will say we actually experienced our first game crash yesterday, which was interesting and unexpected. Although I don't think it was a result of anything that's been touched on in this patch. In my opinion, it happened because we were playing a blood sugar mission with as many enemies as possible, and I think our hubris at thinking that we could do such a thing is what resulted in the ensuing crash. Either way, let's get into the patch today, although what's wrong with the... that's not right at all, is it? Looks like the window that I'm using is a little bit skew. OBS is very confusing. It kind of just does things of its own accord sometimes, and it's very frustrating. I'll tell you what isn't frustrating. Patch notes. Fixed crash related to using the smart trigger overclock for the Lock 1 rifle. An overclock that I do believe needs to be buffed, by the way. Fixed crystal terrain surrounding resonance crystals did not appear when joining during load screen. Okay. Fixed cryobolts being able to freeze neurotoxin grenade gas clouds. Now, okay, that's fine. Because they introduced a new mechanic where you could now freeze gas clouds to render them what would be the word? Inert? Yeah, inert, I think. Or just, basically just delete them from existence. But this prompted me to think of something just now, where I suppose it makes sense that logic would lead to any sort of cryo actually just dissipating the neurotoxin cloud, even if that's not intended. It's kind of strange that it only happened for the cryobolt, but I would say, why not let that happen? Why not treat it like when you ignite a gas cloud, it creates a fire explosion? Why not do the same with cryo? It would be fun, and then there would be genuine synergy with the cryo cannon and neurotoxin grenades. Like, why not? Why not do that? Be fun, wouldn't it? and cool and maybe broken, but the neurotoxin grenade's not that great. So, you know, changed when the deep scan mission is removed from server browser. Don't quite know what they mean by that. When it's removed from the server browser, it is now removed when all the crystals. Oh, I see. Okay, it is now removed when all the crystals have been scanned. So this is whether or not a given deep scan mission in an open lobby is happening, and when it would be possibly removed from view on the server browser. When all the crystals have been scanned. That's quite early, actually. I don't think that means it's not joinable. I think friends could still potentially join it before. And I think that is touched on. Yeah, friends can still join until the first button on the Twittervator has been triggered, but it won't be visible to the public as soon as you've done like the first main stage. Okay. Fixed coil gun being inconsistent at shooting certain enemy weak points, which could be a potential buff for the coil gun. I mean, I'm sure it is definitely, but it depends on what enemies we're really talking about here. It could literally just be like, I don't know, just Mactera Brundles, for example. Attempt to fix victory move props visible in unusual places. Yep, there's a lot of that you can see in mission end screens. That happens quite a lot. Collision optimization on the sticky mines. I think that should be good, although I'm not sure if they're referring to anything that I'm thinking of. Like, for example, when a sticky mine sort of bounces off an enemy and behaves kind of weirdly. Maybe they are. Okay, now this is probably the most direct buff thing here. Fixed charge up time of the tuned cooler being ×2 instead of plus 0.2. Okay, so what does this mean? All right, we don't want to see that. So here's carl.gg, a fantastic website that everyone should be using. Now, tuned cooler on the cryo cannon, there it is. +1 cold per particle plus flow rate ×2 charge up time. It says ×2 charge up time here because that's what it technically does. Even though in game it displays it as plus 0.2. I'm not sure if it does that on here. Nope, it does do plus 0.5. Although in game it says plus 0.2 seconds, which brings it up to 0.5. But the reality is, it's actually been Tune Cooler has actually been bringing the charge up time up to 1 second, which is higher than it's supposed to be. So Tune Cooler has actually been buffed. The charge up time penalty is no longer as noticeable. It won't be. It's like being reduced by 0.3 seconds, which should be noticeable, and is actually going to make Tune Cooler even stronger, which is, I mean, look, Tune Cooler is already quite good, but I think this probably won't change much. It won't change any of the. I don't think it's going to change the meta at all, but it will make that overclock, I think, a bit better, noticeably. Fixed plasma burst of rockets not working on the Rift Crystal, or the Core Stone, I think is what we mean, I think. Community request. Added class icons to paint jobs and victory moves in the Tree of Vanity. The cosmetic tree. So none of the items are class specific, so that is victory moves, weapon paint jobs, and armor paint jobs, are all class specific, but it doesn't tell you unless you actually hover over the icon. So this will now include an icon on that screen, which is very, very nice touch. I think that's going to help people sort of navigate the cosmetic tree more ergonomically without really having to be that involved. Obviously, it takes a long time to get anywhere in the cosmetic tree, so I feel like you should know where you're going, but this will just make it a bit more ergonomic and visually readable. So I don't think that's too bad. Okay, microconductor add-on. So this is the reworked turret arc overclock for the stubby. It had reduced arc range. Now it's back to 15 meters. Yes, I think I had heard some people mention that it felt like the turret arc aspect had been sort of tanked a little bit, like nerfed. So I guess it's good that it's been reverted. Some accidental change was made, or from a bug possibly. Personally, I don't really care about the turret arc aspect. If anything, I would rather it just be removed. Have it be a pure platform focused overclock. Oh well. Fixed caretaker tentacles sometimes spawning just as the fight ends and remaining after the encounter is done. That's good. That has happened to me actually. So often I feel like the bugs and glitches that are referenced in these patch notes are kind of lost on me. Not saying they don't happen, of course, but they're just usually not things that I've noticed. But that I have noticed at least twice, I would say. Fixed neurotoxin explosion not doing damage. Now, I have to assume this means when a neurotoxin grenade is ignited, not anything else. It could potentially be like the poison bolt explosion. I don't think so. This, I have to assume, is neurotoxin grenade being ignited. Okay. Fixed shellbacks briefly going into their reference pose before exploding from volatile guts. Now, I swear that they have tried to fix this before, more than once. But, you know, the shellback just can't stop T-posing, I suppose. Maybe it has now. Poison gas and maggot gas should now be ignitable by fire again. Poison gas and maggot gas. So, poison gas in general wasn't ignitable? Is that what that's suggesting? That's interesting. Improved spawning of the curse light event. I hope that is very noticeable, because the curse light event is probably the worst machine event because of this fact. The fact that it seems to just have difficulty in spawning the right number of enemies very often, and it's kind of annoying, basically. So I think that has probably been remedied. Barrels from the exploding barrel dispenser, lunar trophies, anniversary trophies, and data rack, player leave resource pouch, and the Director's head can now be picked up while the player is not grounded, making them work like other stuff you can pick up. That is good. So this basically, first of all, lunar trophies, anniversary trophies refer to certain collectibles that are exclusive to holiday events, the lunar festival and the anniversary event. So if you're confused about what those are, there you go. But in general, this will help with these objects. I think specifically things like the exploding the nanite bombs for the Twitterlight event should be quite useful there, I hope. Added a miner's manual entry for the bar barnacle. Now, please stop asking. So that's great. We can now read what that is. They just had to make up some lore for the bar barnacle, I guess. So that's great. What if they put it in like the core spawn category? That'd be fucking funny. Okay, Molly will now go to the nearest surface if floating. Made the start of the Rift event run smoother. Yeah, I think I have noticed it kind of tiny bit choppy when you start a core stone. Fixed dying from low oxygen makes constant warning sound. Okay. Morkite seeds will now be deposited to team resources when a player disconnects. That's good, although I don't see why it can't just be in their resource pack that they drop. Oh well. Okay, so yeah, a bunch of good stuff actually. I think the Tune Caller thing is good. I think the class icons in the cosmetic tree is very good, and also the bar barnacle minus menu entry is a nice little addition as well. Overall, really nice, neat patch. I hope to see some, like I said, I hope to see some weapon balancing soon. I think a lot of people are eager for it. I would say. And I understand why there wasn't any on Season 5 launch, but I think these new overclocks are starting to demand it a little bit. So let's take a look. A quick suggestion, for example, would be for the burst fire overclock for the GK2, which I actually think is quite good. But I think the stun bonus is a little bit haphazard, sort of slapped on to make it stronger. I would say to make it feel more involved in the overclock's identity, make it so that it stuns basically when you hit an enemy with a full burst. Which would be most of the time. It's a very accurate burst, but still I think that would make it a much more rewarding overclock to use, much more potent at crowd control actually, even though it's a weapon that forces you to fire 3 shots at once. You could still lock down targets much easier. So maybe consider something like that. Among many other changes, I think conductive thermals possibly needs a small buff as well. I would say that's mostly it. Smart Trigger, though, definitely. Smart Trigger does need something as well. Smart Trigger needs a small buff, in my opinion. Maybe some tweaking of numbers here and there for other things, like maybe Pump Action should have a bit more ammo, for example. Combustive Goo, potentially look into more ways to make the goo explode so it's not so limited in build choice. These are just a few suggestions I have, and I don't feel bad about just spewing them out into the ether. I'm not saying my advice is going to be taken seriously or disregarded either. I'm just hoping that perhaps my ideas do not fall on deaf ears, and I do not claim for them to be the best solution to any of these overclocks issues, but there you go, just sort of throwing it out there. But either way, yeah, a really nice patch. Fakers always go ship for providing just good support for the game in general. And as always, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed, please make sure to like and subscribe. And if you want to stay on top of everything to do with Deep Rock and Road Core, of course, there's not been any Road Core news in a while, but whenever there is, you will know if you are in tune with Battle Vision. So click the bell as well. And if you're feeling really, really generous, also consider becoming a member. There are no real benefits to this, but if you want to give us money, then you can. And we will love you forever. Also, just want to say we are getting really close to 1,000 subscribers, so please if your mouse hovers over that subscribe button, please don't ignore it. Very humble request, I hope. Maybe it sounds desperate, and it kind of is, because we really want to hit 1,000 subscribers, but once we do, you will hear no mention of subscriber milestones after that. In fact, I might not even ask people to subscribe if we hit that mark. So, please. Alright. Bye.